In the last couple of years, I've devoted a lot of my writing and my teaching to this issue of the spiritual path and aging. I've come up with the term lightning strikes to mean that moment when it hits us, sometimes like a ton of bricks, that we really are growing older. It's different for every person. For some people, it's looking in the mirror and seeing something you don't like. For other people, it's an illness, either of yourself or someone you love. In my case, it was an illness. Just after my first book came out in 1999, I fell into a deep coma that no doctor thought I could survive. For 2 weeks, I was as a dead person, but then somehow I came back to life, and it took another 2 years to fully recover. So that became my second book, which I called Healing Lazarus. But it also made me feel, for the time I was getting better, like a very old person. I could hardly walk, I could hardly talk, I had many difficulties. And I thought to myself, this is like being 100 years old. And it set me on a path to really explore and investigate the deep connection that I feel between the spiritual life and the process of becoming older. The last third of a human life is a natural time for spiritual inquiry and spiritual work. How much is the last third of a life? Until the beginning of the last century, it could only be 10 or 15 years. People didn't live that long. But now, the last third of a life could be 25 or even 30 years. It's a long time. People are living longer, they're healthier, they're more active. We know so much more about the healthy aspects of aging. And so we have this new gift that we've never had before, this gift of an elder's life. Aging as a spiritual practice means looking at the actual process of aging itself as a gate or a window into the spiritual path. My definition of spiritual practice is very simple and very universal. A spiritual practice is paying close attention to the things that really matter. Sometimes it can be a meditation, sometimes it can be a prayer, sometimes it can be an inquiry, it can be a mindfulness practice. In every case, though, what the practice is pointing to are the things that really matter universally to everyone as a human being. The people that we love, the difficulties of trying to help people in a real way, the lifelong search for meaning and purpose so that at the end of our life we can look back and say, well, I did the best I could. I have no regrets. This to me is aging as a spiritual practice. There's something inside of us that knows how to be an elder, that wants to be an elder, that wants to tell our story to the younger generation, that wants to be engaged with our grandchildren's generation, that wants to tell the world what we know. Something is compelling us to do that. The society that we live in today, being so youth-oriented and so much involved in instant gratification, doesn't really give us a wholehearted invitation and place to be. We have to make that place. We have to find it. And that's part of this work that I'm exploring. I call this the contemplative work of growing older and wiser.